You're standing in court waiting for the judge to issue his final words. A jury has unanimously found you guilty of leaving multiple impolite comments on YouTube videos. "Mr. Infographics fan," he says sternly, "it is an utter tragedy for this court to see such a total waste of humanity. You're a bright young man, but one who has chosen to become a blight to society. Indeed, you are a menace to society. Take care of yourself and be assured, I don't feel any animosity toward you." And that's that. You're going to spend the next 11 years of your life in prison. You're heading straight to San Quentin, one of the USA's most dangerous places to live. On the outside, San Quentin State Prison looks like a fortress from times past. It's a fact that it was opened in 1852, so you could say that appearances don't lie. Sitting on the north side of San Francisco Bay, the monster of a prison takes up a massive 275 acres of space. To say the least, it's foreboding, and that's just from the outside. You're going to be sharing a prison with some of the USA's most prolific and violent offenders. Some of the people who have been confined inside this giant have gone down in criminal history. Murderous maniacs that are now household names, such as Charles Manson, the Night Stalker Richard Ramirez, and America's so-called most dangerous prisoner Thomas Silverstein. And now you, the man known mostly for his bad language on social media platforms. As doors slam behind you, you at least take some comfort in the fact that you won't be doing your hard time on death row. But as you soon find out, general population won't be a walk in the park. You're going to be among the most dangerous gangs in the US, and while gangbanging isn't your thing, you'll soon become aware that you'll have to make friends. Your cellie seems like a decent enough person, which is weird to you seeing that he's doing time for the crime of first-degree murder. You know you shouldn't ask too many questions in prison, but that guy just come out and told you. "Wrong place, wrong time," he said, and explained some things about the gangs and the prison code. He tells you that some of the main gangs in San Quentin are the Mexican Mafia, the Aryan Brotherhood, the Nuestra family, the Nazi lowriders, the Bloods, and the Crips. You'll find out that if you don't hang with certain people in the yard or don't eat with certain folks, then life is gonna be tough. You need friends in this place, otherwise someone is going to make you their punk. The thing is, you just don't see yourself as a gang member. But this guy informs you again that it's hard to go solo in this place. Of course, you should try and keep your head down. Don't ask too many questions. Don't try and play the tough guy, but you have to form some kind of an alliance. This is prison life. You have a little choice now, young man. You've always thought of yourself as a lover and not much of a fighter, but you're going to see that this will change. Your first day isn't that bad, and the food is even better than you thought it would be. You followed the code and sat with guys of your own race, and it didn't take you too long to find out just who's who in the zoo. After some observing, you chowed down on 2 boiled eggs, 2 pieces of hash brown, 2 slices of old bread, 4 ounces of stewed prunes, and a 4-ounce carton of milk. You've had worse at home when your mom wasn't in the best of moods. Later, your cellie fills you in on some more aspects of the prison code, something that is the utmost importance in a place like San Quentin. He says that if you see a fight or you get into one yourself, then you do not, and I repeat, do not snitch. Then you hear the most fearsome piece of poetry you've ever heard, while the guy tells you, "Snitches, young man, get stitches." He then tells you that if you're in a situation where someone has disrespected you, then you have to do something about it. If you don't, you'll be seen as weak. In San Quentin, it's all about the survival of the fittest, and the meek are preyed upon like a cat in a cage full of badly treated dogs. It doesn't matter if you win or lose the fight, just fight back. You then think back to that only fight you had in school and how pathetic you were. Oh man, 11 years of this? You already know that you should fraternize with people only of your own race, but your cellie tells you that you should keep out of people's business regardless of who they are. Be friendly and polite, but don't get too friendly, he tells you. It's shower time and you have been told to wash really well. Stinky prisoners have been known to get beat up. If snitches get stitches, then smelly losers get bruisers. Personal hygiene is more important in San Quentin than anywhere else you've ever been, including the bed of your last girlfriend. She just left you, by the way. 11 years is a long time to wait, baby. You're later sitting in the recreation area with that cellie of yours, and he sees you take a keen interest in a bunch of guys that seem to be secretly gambling. He whispers to you, "I know what you're thinking, man. Don't go there. You ain't never got to gamble in this place." Having debts, he said, is a sure way to get yourself into trouble. You look at another guy that is slouched in a corner. His eyes are half closed, and he seems to intermittently fall asleep and then jerk back awake again. Your cellie tells you that he's high on opiates, and drugs, he says, are another thing you gotta stay well away from. You'll be chewed up and spat out if you get addicted to drugs in this place. He's not kidding, because not only do you soon find out that drugs are easier to get in prison than on the outside, But on your 4th day there, some guy dies from an opioid overdose. Over the next week, 2 more guys will be carried out on stretchers. Wow, you think, how does that stuff get in here? Your cellie tells you that the guards have been known to bring drugs in, but visitors might also get a stash to an inmate. Women might hide drugs in their underwear, and men sometimes pack them in their behinds with balloons and give that to a prisoner. It just doesn't add up, you're thinking, especially when a lot of people in here are in here for possession of drugs. On your 2nd week, the thing happens that you really didn't want to happen. A guy disrespects you in the yard, and you do what you have to and you get in a fight. It's hardly fair. That guy's about twice your size and looks like he can punch through walls, but you give it your best like you were advised to. A few minutes later and you're nursing your wounds in the prison hospital. Your lip is all busted up and one of your eyes is turning a bluish green, and it feels like a bull has run into your ribs. At least I fought back, you think. But you're gonna find out that your poor performance in that gladiatorial arena they call the yard has tainted the image of the white gang you've been hanging out with. To your utter astonishment, you soon find out that the shot caller has demanded that you put some work in. And no, that doesn't mean that you'll be tidying up his cell or fixing a leaky faucet. That guy you fought with, he's disrespected your gang a few times now, and so it's time he got shivved. Shivved? You say naively to the guy that gives you the message. Is that a gardening term? He hands you a homemade knife and tells you to conceal it until you get the green light to attack the guy. The weapon itself has a kind of papier-mâché handle with what looks like a nail embedded into it. You can't believe what you're hearing. You followed the code, you kept your head down, and you fought back when you had to. You cannot possibly attempt to kill a man over something so trivial. Sat in your cell that evening, your cellie tells you that you really don't have a choice. Refuse an order from a shot caller, and you will likely become the victim of violent shivving. But do the work, and without a doubt, you'll get more time added to your sentence. A lot of time if that man dies. Not only that, and you value your moral code. You don't want to become a killer. That man probably has a wife somewhere, children, parents, brothers, and sisters. Your cellie tells you that you cannot snitch. If you snitch, you're a dead man walking, either in prison or when you get back onto the streets. Oh man, you think, all this and I committed the smallest of crimes. How on earth did I end up here? You ponder as you wrestle with a deep depression. Your cellie's now feeling a bit sorry for you and tells you that you can request protective custody. It's a part of the prison where you'll find former gang members and people whose crimes against women or children have earned them a kill on sight badge. You either follow the shot caller's order or you get yourself PC'd up. Out of the 4,000 or so prisoners in San Quentin, quite a lot of them are in protective custody. So surely it can't be all that bad. Your cellie reminds you that once you've been PC'd up, it sticks with you out on the streets, or if you ever get sent back to prison, it's a big risk. Things are about to change again because you suddenly find out you're being ordered to step outside of your cell. It's shakedown time and your cell is going to be turned upside down by the guards. You've hidden the shiv in a little crack behind the wash basin, which isn't exactly the best hiding place in the world, and you're hardly an expert at this kind of thing. The guards find the shiv and you do the right thing and tell him that it's yours. You don't want to get your cellie in trouble. He might be a convicted killer, but he's the reason you didn't get beat up on your first days here. In front of a board of officers, you take full responsibility for hiding the shiv, but you say nothing else. You don't say if you made it or how you made it or for what exact purpose it was made for. For your prison crime, you'll spend 1 month in solitary confinement. That's not exactly the best of news, but it's better than being stabbed with a shiv or having to shiv someone else. Well, you'll find out that this might not actually be true. You're going to what's called the Adjustment Center, and to a special part of what's called the Administrative Segregation Unit. An officer told you that after this stint in isolation, you might be returned to the general population, or even be sent to another prison. You're not too sure if Pelican Bay Prison would be any better, but stay here and that shot that got called might get called again. What wonderful options I'm presented with, you think sarcastically. It's like a dungeon in your cell. The walls are cracked and flaking, the bed is a slab of concrete, and you're not allowed any books. The place feels like a prison within a prison. There are no windows and you only get to go out of this little box 3 times a week. That exercise will be in the confines of a cage because the rule is no human contact. On most days, it's 23 hours a day of hell in a cell, so you have a lot of time to think. That's not such a good thing because your mind is racing. You remember that judge that calls you a menace to society, and then you think back to the moment you committed the heinous crime of cursing and disrespecting someone inside a YouTube comment box. You're a good man who just made a small mistake. You don't deserve this. In a vortex of loneliness and damp, your depression hits new lows. You sit on that cold bed, and each day you see rats and roaches scurry around the floor. The water trickles from the faucet with as much enthusiasm as you have for life. The constant darkness is a kind of sensory deprivation, a torture of your very soul. It's hell, all right, you think. remembering all those prison shows you watched on Netflix. As your time in the adjustment center comes to an end, you wonder if you've actually been adjusted. You could say that you've changed, that's for sure, but not in any good kind of way. Is there such a word as dehabilitation? Soon you'll be back amongst the gangs and the noise, and you wonder if you'll still be expected to cause a stranger grievous bodily harm over a minor incident. You wonder how long you can play prison politics and adhere to that catch-22 filled prison code. Follow the rules of the code and suffer. Break the rules and suffer. This is not rehabilitation, you think, it's a trap. You've become an animal caught in a trap and you guess things can only get worse. This is why San Quentin is one of the worst prisons in the world. We hope you enjoyed this tale from the dark side. Now, we're going to give you some super educative shows that might ensure you never go to prison. Have a look at why doing this will get you an A+ on all your school exams, or highest paying jobs you can do from your bedroom.